Hey folks, Sam here with UCanic. Today we're going to be talking about the Swaybar links on this 2016 Jeep Renegade. The cool part is we really only need one specialty tool to get us going. That's going to be this T30 bit. Now I highly recommend you get a socketed version of this, as the little Allen key versions are not going to be good for it. So all that being said, let's get started. Okay folks, here we are. We're up onto the right front. We're going to swap this Swaybar in link. So this guy right here, this plastic link, links the Swaybar to the strut. What this does is it resists the roll motion of the vehicle. Now, when these things start to get play in them, like this one has, they'll clack around and make a bunch of noise, and they can eventually get bad enough that they actually fall off of their mounts. When that happens, they make a ton of noise. Well, that is until they fall off the other mount too, and then they don't make any noise at all, but you don't have any resistance on the roll axis. To take this apart, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need a T30 bit. We're going to need it on a ratchet. That is going to make our life a heck of a lot easier. The next thing we're going to need an 18mm wrench. I'm using a stubbier wrench than normal, and the reason is because of that little guy down there. There is very little room behind it, and we have to do the same thing that we do up here because this thing's kind of S-shaped. So this exact pattern you see here with the T30 on the outside of the bolt and the 18mm nut, that exists down there just facing that way. So we're gonna slowly and gently go through the first one so you can see everything we're doing, and then when you see the hole we got to get in on the back, you'll understand why I'm doing that one last. But to replace it, we actually do have this metal end link. Now when you buy this part, it is very common to get the wrong one, as some trim models can have different sway bars or different sway bar end links, different suspension geometry, things like that. Important thing to do, really does not matter what the base material is made of. This one's plastic, the new one is metal. What matters is does the geometry match up, and in this case it does. So we are all set there. So now that we've checked out our new part, make sure we got the right tools, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to want to set our ratchet to tightening, so righty-tighty. We're going to go ahead and we're going to have our wrench going lefty-loosey. We're going to hang our wrench on the nut right there. We're going to put our ratchet on the outside. Now while I'm holding this ratchet, I'm going to go ahead and pop this thing loose here. And once you get that little nylon piece off the end, you should be able to spin it off with your fingers. And there it goes. All right, so we got that top part done. Now we're going to do everything on the back. Now we want to leave our tools set the way they were, just flip them over. So we're going to come in, we're going to go ahead and put our wrench on the nut there. And this part's tricky. I do recommend having a swivel-headed ratchet, bend it a few degrees to get around our inner fender back here. Once our ratchet is started, we'll go ahead and start running it out. So next time, bring a longer wrench. There it goes. Run it the rest of the way off with our fingers. Now, unlike a tie rod end or a ball joint, this thing is not a tapered fit, so you don't have to worry about pounding it out with a hammer or prying it out or anything crazy like that. All we want to do is we want to rotate this thing this way so that this one goes out and the bottom one comes out simultaneously. So we'll give it a little rotate like that. That whole thing comes out. And we're just going to do the exact opposite going in. You want to make sure you get new locking nuts also with your new Swaybar end link. Bottom end. And we'll get the top in. And once you have enough fit in, no biggie, because we can use these nuts here to pull that new Swaybar end link into its proper position. Run those all the way. A little nylon catch there. No big deal. And grab our tools again. This time we want our ratchet set to loosen, so lefty-loosey. And we want our wrench to tighten. We'll get our wrench on, get our ratchet on. Let my ratchet kind of hang there. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of holding this whole thing together. It holds this steady because just make your life a little bit easier doing this. Now you can do this with just a regular old wrench. It just takes a little longer. There's the top done, and now we get to jam this thing down there in the bottom. Get our wrench on, come around behind here, get our ratchet on. Easier said than done. I'm going to do the same thing again. Squeeze this whole thing together. Being able to get a finger on that wrench just to keep it set. We can pull this whole thing together. There we go. Pull our tools out. And ladies and gentlemen, we're all done. That's how you do a Swaybar end link on your 2016 Jeep Renegade. Thanks for joining me.